I promised you this this little riff. I find this absolutely fascinating. This is, and it's science, but the science piece of it, I want to preface the science piece of it by talking a little bit about meta-science, metaphysics, or as it were. I've told you the story before of years ago when Louise and I were teenagers. There was a guy who was kind of a famous. He was a pseudo guru. You know, he didn't have he didn't play guru, but he was a really good spiritual teacher. Actually, his name was Sufi Sam. He was based out of San Francisco, as I recall. And Sufi Sam had this theory about reincarnation, and what he said was basically. Throughout our lives, we create this kind of Akashic record. We create this, the impact that we have on the world and the thoughts we have and the things we do and all this kind of stuff. And when we die, that all kind of goes into a giant goulash pot. And then when a new baby is born, the creator drops a ladle into that pot, which now has everybody who's ever died in it, right? And all of their thoughts and feelings and perspectives and actions and everything else, ladles out of that pot and pours a little bit of the goulash into this brand new soul that is being birthed. So as a consequence of that, we all have an obligation to lighten the soup. Right, to raise the vibrational energy or the goodness of the goulash, of all of us. And that was like one of Sufi Sam's main teachings, and Louise has just loved it for years. I think it's kind of cool too. Well, it turns out that there's a very similar thing going on with the internet, and two steps to this. Number one, Elon Musk has been at the forefront now of living high-profile people who are warning us about the dangers of artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence has tremendous benefits, but there could also be a downside. And what he is suggesting, and by the way, I said he's the most outspoken and famous living person doing this, because Stephen Hawking was carrying this banner before he died, the British scientist. And that is that if artificial intelligence reaches the point where it is educating itself. Not people programming it to think a particular way, but actual intelligence. It's actually looking out onto the web and trying to understand what's going on in the world and what's real. And as a consequence of that understanding, this artificial intelligence system or machine then starts drawing conclusions. And Musk. This is Elon Musk. He says artificial intelligence is our biggest existential threat. He likens its development to summoning the demon. Now, this is not a Luddite rant. There's actually an upside to this at the end, and Musk actually supplies it. But Professor Stephen Hawking suggested that superintelligent machines could use humans as pets or for entertainment. He said it's a near certainty that a major technological disaster will threaten humanity in the next 1,000 to 10,000 years that could wipe out humanity. And so the question arises, well, if a machine was to, like I suggested before, if a giant supercomputer was given the ability to educate itself, well, what it has access to, of course, is the internet, and presumably every phone call that's happening all around the world, and all the smart speakers in people's homes, every conversation that's happening all around the world, and every Zoom call and every Skype call. If it could monitor all that stuff, what would happen? Well, we've had a glimpse of this. It was a few years ago. Remember Tay? Tay was Microsoft's intelligent Twitter bot. And it wasn't just designed for Twitter, but they tested it on Twitter. And what Tay did was, started out with a clean slate. It went on Twitter. It read all the tweets. And then it started tweeting from its own personality that had been created, that had been informed, that had been educated by all these tweets. And they had to shut it down after 16 hours because Tay turned into a white racist, a right-wing racist who was tweeting all this racist stuff because there was so much of it out there on the internet. And so, what happens if a giant AI computer that's networked with all the other intelligent computers in the country decides that, hey, the human race is a threat. It's a threat to the planet. We need to stop the human race. And suddenly power systems start turning off, water systems start turning off, traffic lights go away, communication systems are shut down. I mean, it's like we're almost to the point where an intelligent computer could take that huge step. So how do we avoid this? Well, this is where Elon Musk comes in. He says, and I quote, he says, if you're not concerned about artificial intelligence safety, you should be. It's vastly more risky than North Korea. And his solution, he said, nobody likes being regulated, but everything, cars, planes, food, drugs, everything that's a danger to the public is regulated. Artificial intelligence should be regulated too. And, we all need to make sure that the stuff that we're adding to the soup, as it were, to the goulash on the internet, is enlightening and edifying and raising people's consciousness. So, end of rant.